What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Sports Outlet Show. My name, as always, is Joe Wagner alongside my two boys, Brent Allegra and Braden Wilkins. Boys, how are we feeling on this beautiful Wednesday?
I'm feeling great. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but, we're here for the people. We got the college football playoffs coming up, NFL playoffs in like 6 or so weeks. So got a lot to talk about, and we're here to break it down for you.
I'm a fan. Braden, are we back in Blacksburg? How are we? We may have lost him.
That Blacksburg internet.
Dude, I don't understand why he's hiding from the Carolina Panthers right now. That's all he's doing. He knows the Eagles are coming. He's afraid of them. He's scared of them. This was totally planned out, by the way. This was totally not an act at all. But yeah, anyways, Brent and Braden are also in a huge fantasy football matchup this week. Brent, no Christian McCaffrey for Braden. How are we feeling?
That definitely makes the difference for sure. I mean, Braden, I'm sure he's missing out on his CMC action, but honestly, didn't think I have a chance. I didn't think I had a chance before CMC got hurt. So I think it leveled the playing field a little bit.
Maybe just a little bit. Maybe just a little bit. All right, well, let's go ahead and keep it rolling. We have a very interesting segment here for you guys today. We're actually going live over to the PowerPoint presentation, so a little pizzazz. So, also shout out Alexander Bagoon, one of my coworkers who made this awesome graphic. It is perfect. It is amazing, right. And let's dive right into it as soon as we get going here. So, talking about the Heisman Trophy, what is the Heisman Trophy really? So let's go ahead and go through it. The Heisman Trophy is described as an annual award given to the most outstanding college football player in the United States. So what is that exactly? We're going to kind of break it down for you. Brent, give me the breakdown here between Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah, you can see the stats here for yourself. Both of these guys, outstanding college football players this year. Travis Hunter tied fourth in receptions, fourth in receiving yards, second in total touchdowns. And you can see there 12.5 average yards per catch. On the other end, defensive side, obviously plays both ways. 31 tackles, 20 solo, 11 passes deflected, 1 forced fumble, and 4 picks. And then obviously right below him, Ashton Jeanty, definitely the best running back in college football this year. 312 carries, 2,288 yards, has a chance to smash that record. Wait, does the championship game count or no? Towards the record?
Not towards the regular season record.
So he didn't break it then.
Correct. I think they'll be in conversation for it and kind of debate it because I'm not sure if they applied 13 games or not. But from what I know, I don't think it does count since it is that 13th additional.
Well, was very, very close to breaking the record. 29 total touchdowns and 7.3 yards per carry. So obviously both of these guys just outstanding. The other two finalists were, I believe, Cam Ward and Dylan Gabriel. Definitely not much of a conversation there. These guys are much, much better than those two guys and are honestly running away with it. So it's really between these two guys on the slot here.
No, I'd 100% agree with that statement. And Braden, would you mind giving me a little running back comparison here of the past two winners, both from Alabama?
Absolutely. So Brent went ahead and covered Ashton Jeanty's stats. Absolute monster. Broke the 2,000-yard mark. A couple years back, we had Derrick Henry to win the Heisman in 2015. He had 339 carries, 1,986 yards, 23 total touchdowns on 5.9 yards per carry. So Jeanty has less carries, more yards per carry. Same with Mark Ingram, who had less carries, 271 carries, 1,658 yards, 20 total touchdowns, and 6.1 yards per carry. And Genty smashed both of their Heisman campaigns, so he looks pretty solid in the running back comparisons for previous Heismans.
Now, give me that exact same breakdown, but remember here in this wide receiver comparison, Braden, I had to have you talk about the current Eagle.
Yeah, Devonta Smith, one of the greatest college wide receivers ever. 117 receptions, 1,856 yards, 24 total touchdowns, and 15.9 yards per catch. And then Desmond Howard in Michigan back in 1991. Not a lot of wide receivers win this thing. 61 receptions, 950 yards, 21 total touchdowns on 15.6 yards per catch. So this is just the wide receiver stats. Obviously, Travis Hunter plays on the other side of the ball as well. But the previous Heismans in terms of wide receivers seem to have a better campaign than Hunter, at least on that side of the front.
Come on, you could have gone with a classic headshot, but it's NCAA 06, baby. Come on now.
Yeah.
Hey, I like it. It's back and better than ever. So
It's back and better than ever. I love it. Well, when you talk about the most outstanding college football player, you got to think, how would this team perform if you took Genty and Hunter out of the starting lineups? Just a little fun here. So you know what we do? I took a class freshman year. You go to Microsoft Excel, all right, and you put the games up right next to one another. Now, you probably can't see it super well, so I'm going to kick it a little bit like here. This should work better right there. All right, we'll go off screen for just a second here. So football season comparison, you got Genty on the left there. You got Travis Hunter on the right. Obviously, some notable performances. Genty scoring 6 touchdowns against Scott Williams' own Georgia Southern. You got number 7 Oregon at the time. So now you take a comparison shot here, guys, and you look between Genty, who plays in the Mountain West, and Travis Hunter, who plays in the Big 12. Obviously, the Big 12 taking home the cake of comparison, maybe not playoff spots, but comparison when you go through this. Now, the number one argument I have heard is Genty has not played any good teams or any great defenses, and he's getting the rock all the time. Let's counter that a little bit. If you look there on 10-12, number 18 Kansas State was Colorado's performance, their only ranked opponent of 2024 at the time. You take a big look at that fat 0 for Travis Hunter touchdowns in the bottom of that bracket. All right? Now, don't give me this crap about Ashton Genty carrying the load. Travis Hunter plays 100% of snaps on both sides of the ball. All right, so let's get that out at the first hand. Number 2, in his game against Oregon, he ran the rock. He put up 3 touchdowns on a top 5 defense. He absolutely lit it up. You can make the case of, yes, a lot of those opponents were less superior, but I mean, you look at Travis Hunter's stats, and don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing Travis Hunter here. Travis Hunter is slam dunk top 2 in the Heisman race. Slam dunk, probably the number 1 overall pick here coming in April. Absolute baller of a player. Is going to be a change of a franchise for a team. But we're talking about the MVP of college football, of the Heisman of this season. If you take Genty out of Boise State, that team is a mediocre 6-6 team going to play the Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa Bay, Florida. And now they're emphasizing a chance to go and be not just make the college football playoff. They're looking at being better than the Big 12 champion with a bye. When they created this, there was no way anybody was looking at this. Finally, let me wrap up my little breakdown here. The Heisman Trophy Award goes to the most outstanding player in college football. We've been over it. To me, Joe Wagner here in Norman, Oklahoma, this means to the NCAA, the sport of football, and their specific team. Their draft status does not matter. Their performance matters more than whatever conference they're in, and it's how they perform in big-time games. With that, I think Ashton Genty is a slam dunk for this. I think there's no reason he shouldn't win it, but the problem is Travis Hunter is going to win the Heisman.
Yeah, he is. I think he will. I think the committee at least puts it that way. If you go back to the breakdown slide for a second, I hear what you're saying, Joe, and honestly, I don't disagree with you. I think JT definitely has a strong case to be the Heisman. But what Travis Hunter is doing is also like pretty historic at the same time.
I agree.
The receiving numbers on that slide you put up, they speak for themselves. But I do think that quarterback numbers are a little less sticky. They're not the easiest to stat out, and PFF has Travis Hunter as the 5th highest receiver and 2nd highest corner according to PFF, as I said. And on the corner position specifically, because this is where I think he's ultimately going to play in the NFL. Mm-hmm. He's only allowed 187 total yards in 11 contests, and his receiver was only targeted 2 times or less in 6 games. So that's kind of the definition of lockdown, my opinion. So obviously, he's great on both sides of the ball. Haven't seen that type of thing since, I don't know, Charles Woodson is probably the last one that I can think of. And like I said, he's only allowed 1 touchdown this season as well. So, both of these players are really, really good. Ashton Jeanty, probably the best running back in college football, at least from my recent memory in history. So I really think that this decision is super, super hard for the committee. But like I said, I think they're going to give it to Travis Hunter.
No, I 1,000,000% agree. Travis Hunter is going to absolutely change a franchise around. Can you imagine a guy that's going to play 100% of snaps at corner? Now, obviously, he's not going to be able to do this at the NFL. It's a different speed. It's a different game. Mm-hmm. If he does, I'll lose my brain cells. And
I think he'd get hurt ultimately. If he did do that, I think he would get hurt. That's just my opinion.
Being able for him to play a Deebo Samuel role for a team and come in on meaningful snaps on offense with limited NFL tape on the offensive side, that's going to be a headache for every single defensive coordinator, every single one of them. But I'm 100% with you that Travis Hunter, he literally wears the D on his chest for dog. He's an absolute beast. It is such a shame that Ashton Jeanty is having the greatest rushing season since Reggie Bush. Yeah. And just like Reggie Bush, he's not going to get his Heisman at first.
True.
But in any other season, this man is walking. He's walking in with a minus 10,000 any other day.
Absolutely. And that was another thing I was going to say is, like, I feel like this year specifically is probably one of the most contested between two candidates that I've seen in a while. Usually there's like a clear front runner, someone that just runs away with it. But this year, I think it is a really tough decision.
I had to show Jeanty some love. I've been on Twitter all week, and all I've heard about is Travis Hunter. I'm like, can we? I understand the conference, but I have to break this down for you guys. It's ridiculous.
Also, like if Jeanty were to win the Heisman, it'd be the first Group of 5 school to have a Heisman winner since Roger Staubach back in 1963.
I was about to say that was 1960 something. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So that would be nuts and pretty historic, like I said, for Jeanty. So, can't go wrong either way. Both of them are going to be great in the NFL as well. So I think it's a toss-up for sure.
No, I 100% agree. Braden, anything to input? I think we covered a lot of it.
Oh yeah. You guys knocked it out of the park. I think it's great that normally these like most valuable player awards and best in the sport go to quarterbacks, and I think it's fun that we pretty much are guaranteed for it to not be a quarterback this year. So I think that's awesome, and it's really cool to see some other position groups getting the love that they deserve.
I agree, 100%. With that, let's talk about something just as exciting. The Western Kentucky Hilltoppers.
Let's go.
I feel like we're talking about this championship every single year, and the Hilltoppers are in there. You'll see that Chris Naylor is up here in the podcast on the screen over here. We've got his picks with us as well. He may join later in the show. He may not. We'll just keep you on your toes for that one for a little bit. But
he's a man of mystery.
It's true. You can never find him. He's probably serving a fettuccine wheezy somewhere. That's my guy. I wish that could be delivered to Norman right now. I'd devour it. Anyways, we're kind of going to go through each conference championship here. We might take each other's heads off at some of these picks at some point. But we're going to go through here with the game itself, money line, spreads, over-unders, things to watch. Joe Wagner, am not giving betting advice. I'm just saying what I think would happen. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to put that out there in writing. But Western Kentucky versus Jacksonville State, I'll kick us off here. Kicking off at Friday. It's going to start conference championship weekend. Funny enough, this game happened just last week where Western Kentucky won 19-17 in Jacksonville, Alabama at Jacksonville State Gamecocks home stadium. They won on a walk-off 50-yard field goal. Honestly, Western Kentucky, their losses are built pretty quickly. They've lost to Alabama where they got throttled, Boston College, Louisiana Tech, and Liberty over there as well. I think that Belknap is a superior quarterback considering that Jacksonville State's could only throw for about 60 yards last week. I think this is a slam dunk. Not sure why Western Kentucky is not favored in this matchup. I'm taking Western Kentucky. I'm taking their plus 4.5. I'm taking the under at 58, but give me them Hilltoppers, baby.
Yeah,
Braden.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Braden.
As Joe mentioned, we saw this game just last week. Got a little preview there. I am going to mention that their quarterback, Tyler Huff, got hurt late in the third quarter, so it didn't really affect his numbers too much. He just missed out on the fourth. He's a game-time decision for Friday after tweaking his ankle. Even if Huff is out, I still believe in Jacksonville State to win this game. Here's why. In his limited action on Saturday, backup Logan Smothers came in and threw for 4 for 6 for 62 yards and a touchdown just in the fourth quarter. I believe that if he starts the whole game, he can play well. He saw what they did last week. He can adjust to that and he can play. If Huff plays as well, he's been good all season. Other than this game against Western Kentucky. So I love my Hilltoppers, but I got Jacksonville State going into this game.
Bailey Zappi put shame on you.
I think Joe honestly highlighted it very well on the Western Kentucky end. I am also going Western Kentucky. I think they win outright. And honestly, I could see the spread going the opposite way. 4.5 for Western Kentucky, man. Put some respect on their names.
See you at the top of the hill. Hey, Chris Naylor.
Western Kentucky.
That's right.
Let's go, baby. All right. So Braden's standing at the end of the totem pole. Next podcast, when Jacksonville State loses, we'll laugh. We'll point at his face. It'll be great. We'll all shame him.
And when the Panthers beat the Eagles this week.
Oh no!
Let's go, baby!
Oh, no.
You don't want to see Bryce Young throw the ball to Jalen Coker.
I'm scared.
Hey, Adam Thielen's back too, man. Old
True.
man Adam Thielen.
Mm-hmm.
Nah. We got a new guy. Oh my goodness! Updated rankings here. Braden, tell me about this Mountain West matchup.
Yeah, for the Mountain West, Friday at 8 p.m. Boise State is favored. They're -4. The over-under is 58 points. This game, we talked a lot about Boise State and Ashton Genty. Let's talk about a little bit about UNLV. Their only loss came against a good Syracuse team and this Boise State team earlier in the season. It was close, though. UNLV was leading by 1 point at the end of the third quarter, but unfortunately for them, they were unable to get anything done in the fourth. The game-winning touchdown went to none other than Ashton Genty. UNLV's only possession in the fourth quarter ended in a punt. Boise State was able to kill the clock after that. So this game will be close. It will be close just like it was. It's on a neutral field this time. I still think Boise State and Ashton Genty are going to take on the win.
Yeah, Braden, I completely agree with you, and it's much for the reasons we highlighted earlier in the Heisman race. Genty, obviously one of the best players in college football, elevated them to a spot where they're I mean, most definitely, if they win this game, most definitely going to be the group of 5 team representing. So got to go with Boise State.
Chris Naylor, let's see this just in. He's picking. Oh, boy. Well, the question is, am I Kirk Herbstreit and save the graphic? That's the question of the day. I'm taking UNLV +4 for the spread, but Boise State's winning, baby. There's no – dude, if Boise State loses this game, you know what? We'll talk about the group of 5 later. Let's move on. We got Tulane versus Army. It's only right that they're in the American Conference. Brent, who do we got?
Yeah, baby. We got the American here. I'm all American. Love my country. Anyways, this one's Friday, December 6th, 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's important because Joe's in Oklahoma. Gotta preface.
I appreciate
that. Tulane is favored by 6 over Army, and the over-under is 45.5. I actually like Army in this one, and I'll tell you guys why. Their quarterback, Army's quarterback, Bryson Daly, he's a polarizing figure. He averages 86 passing yards per game, but averages 135 rushing yards per game. Again, this is the quarterback. And he has over 3 times the amount of rushing touchdowns compared to passing touchdowns, 25-8. So this guy, I mean, he's the next freaking Lamar Jackson. But he can't throw the ball. He can run it, though, like a madman. The other side of the ball, defense, they're pretty locked down, too. They're actually 13th in all of college football with 15.09 points allowed per game. So I like Army in this one. And Bryson Daly, I want to see some more rushing yardage stats from him in this game.
Well, your counterpart, Chris, is going to agree with you there in Army West Point to get the win. They're ranked. Tulane was ranked last week. We saw them lose a very close one to Memphis this past week, basically destroying, crushing, very much hurting their playoff chances because we'll talk about it here in a minute. We're here to talk about this game. I'm gonna have to go Tulane in this one. They have one of the best running backs in Mekhi Hughes. He's got 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns. This Tulane team lost to a great Memphis team. They lost to Kansas State, and of course, they lost to your Boomer Sooner, Oklahoma Sooners here in Norman. 3 great losses, in my opinion, for their program. They'll have a better bowl game than the Military Bowl, unfortunately, this year, boys. The Hokies won't get to put them away one last time. But I got the Green Wave beating Army. I think they can hold the ball enough, but this game is smashing the under anytime you see Army with the football. If they score, it's going to be 12 plays, 75 yards.
Yeah, Joe, I'm going to agree with you. You said everything that I wanted to say, and you said it perfectly. So I'm going to go with Tulane as well. I just want to mention their quarterback, Mensah, has been really solid too. It's mainly the rushing attack, but Tulane's quarterback, he's not bad.
He's not a bad guy. This might be the most interesting Big 12 championship anybody could have put on paper this year. Number 16, Iowa State versus number 15, Arizona State. Chris has got the Sun Devils. I have a little breakdown here. Mine's super simple and to the point. This team lost to Texas Tech and at Kansas. But anytime your quarterback's name is Rocco, give me Rocco Becht to go down to Jerry's World and take care of business, and they're going to be the 12th seed and lose.
Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to offer a formal apology to Arizona State. I had them in the Super Series before the year, and I predicted them to go 1-11. They did not. They got 2 wins in the first 2 weeks, so they smashed that immediately. And looking back, they were the 30th ranked transfer class in the country. Maybe I should have looked into that a little bit more and given them a little bit more credit for that. Obviously, that wasn't for nothing. They were a great team. They went out and shocked the world and made this title game. So why not? Give it to them. Give them the win.
I understand. I understand, Braden. This is their one win that you were talking about.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. The conference title game.
0-11 entering the Big 12 championship. This is their chance.
With the way Oklahoma State played, I'm not surprised. Snap.
I honestly just want to see it happen. I'm going with Arizona State as well, because of the reason Braden said. Had them going 1-11, and at the time, I agreed with you, Braden. I was right there with you. This did not look like a good roster on paper, and they're now contending for the Big 12. So it's ridiculous. I want to see it happen. While we are on the Big 12, I will just say I think this game would be a lot more entertaining if Colorado was in the picture. Obviously, they lost to Kansas. I think that was a few weeks back. Kind of knocked them out of contending for the Big 12. But say what you want about Colorado. You either like them or you hate them. They are entertaining to watch. Deion Sanders, Shadur Sanders, and Travis Hunter. But their defense is awful outside of Travis Hunter. So that's kind of why they're not here. So just wanted to make that spiel.
That's why they joined the Big 12. Big 12 doesn't have defense.
Yep, exactly.
I would have loved to see preseason a ticket of how much money an $100 bet would make if you bet Iowa State versus Arizona State in the Big 12 championship.
Crazy, man.
Doesn't make sense.
It would have had to have been like 6 figs.
Let's see. This game is at noon. This game's at noon. Oh, perfect time for lunch. All right. We have the 2 Ohios. Hey, guys, look, Miami actually made it. Oh, we'll talk about that later. We got Ohio versus Miami, Ohio, and the greatest conference that God created, the MAC. Tuesday night action. You got to love it. This game is also on at noon for those that aren't having their lunch during the Iowa State-Arizona State ball game. So go ahead and turn over probably to like ESPN Plus for this one. Or I'm sure they have it on ESPN or something, but I didn't look. Anyways, Miami, Ohio is the favorite currently. The over-under set at 45.5. 45.5, it's the MAC, baby. We're smashing that over. Pretty simple here. Miami, Ohio has won their last 7 games straight. Toledo was their last loss. You may know the 6th-year senior, played in 2019, has been a Red Hawk his entire career. Brett Gabbert, the brother of the NFL legend Blaine Gabbert. That's all I needed to see. Give me the Red Hawks. Come on.
Yeah. Ohio, on the other hand, only lost 3 games this season against a good Syracuse team, Kentucky, and this Miami of Ohio team. They lost by 10 points at Miami of Ohio in a game in which they outperformed the Red Hawks in the box score. The difference is the 2 turnovers. Parker Navarro threw 2 interceptions, both leading to touchdowns on the ensuing drive for Miami, Ohio. They also put themselves in a hole early, getting shut out in the first half. So for me, start fast and hold on to the football. Don't do any turnovers. Don't do anything stupid. And the Bobcats will get the win. And that's what I have them doing.
Unbelievable.
You guys stop playing, man. This is the best game of the weekend. Miami versus Ohio State. Come on, we're here for it. We're here for it. No, all jokes aside, I'm not watching this game. But I picked Ohio. Got to go with the Bobcats, man.
Man, that's as good of a reasoning as Chris has. All right, I guess let's go to this game. Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, this game, Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern, Texas, 2.5-point favorites. Over under 49.5. Texas, the Longhorns have had a stellar season, as most of us expected. They've won 7 games in their first year in the SEC. That's awesome. They weren't perfect, though. These Georgia Bulldogs were the one team to beat them in the SEC, one team to beat them all year. They came into Austin and beat the Longhorns by 2 possessions. Trevor Etienne ran for 3 touchdowns in a game in which Georgia took a 23-0 lead at halftime. Georgia hasn't been perfect either, though, with SEC losses in Tuscaloosa and in Oxford. Not to mention the 8 overtime thriller against Georgia Tech last week. That game was awesome. But I think Georgia goes in there and they do it again, taking Texas down for the second time this season.
Yeah. Braden highlighted on it. Georgia was Texas's only loss this year. I think it really put a bad taste in the mouth of those Longhorns. I'm also of the philosophy that no matter who you are, it's hard to beat a good team twice. I think Texas pulls it out despite Quinn Ewers looking like absolute trash at many points this season. Very disappointed in Quinn Ewers this year.
Well, Chris is going to agree with you from that team down in Austin. And before I make my selection, I don't know how to do this. Before I make my selection, you guys carry on.
All right. This guy's
there
gone.
He is. All right, Braden, take it away.
I do think this is definitely one of the better conference championships games we're going to get, obviously. Carson Beck also hasn't been great this year. He's had some issues. So both of these quarterbacks struggling when they could have been first-round picks to come into the season. I don't know how far their draft capital has fallen this year, but it can't be as high as they were to start the season. Yeah.
These guys were like projected first-round picks, probably the top 2 quarterbacks in the class before this year, and they've just completely fallen out of contention. I mean, honestly, I think both of these quarterbacks could be outside of the top 5. That's just my honest opinion. Obviously good prospects on paper, but what they've put on the field this year, not good. Not good.
100%. Completely agreed.
Well, let me go ahead and wrap this up here. So this is the SEC. I've probably watched more SEC football than I ever have in my life. Georgia versus Texas. Braden hit on it earlier. Georgia went down into Austin, Texas, throttled this team 30-15. It should have been worse, but apparently you can throw bottles on the field and get calls to go your way. Fans, I'm not telling you to do that, but the NCAA told you not to do that, apparently. So, anyways, this game, Georgia is not favored. Not favored? Why are they not favored? Yeah, they took Georgia Tech to 8 overtime, sure. Texas, great season, 11-1. Congrats. You lost your only opponent that was literally any good. You lost to the Bulldogs. Let me read this for you. Colorado State, the worst Michigan team in 85 years. UTSA, UL Monroe. Congrats, you beat General Booty. Mississippi State, we're not talking about the Red River rivalry. Vanderbilt, Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky, and good job, you beat a terrible Texas A&M team. I'm taking my Pat McAfee moment. I'm taking my Lee Corso moment. Give me them dogs, baby. Come on now. You think this team has any chance?
All I want to say is to end on this note, Arch Manning, come to Poppy. Come to Poppy. Come on. Come on. Couple years, 2, 3, however long it takes. Come to the Giants.
Drew Lock in the meantime. Drew Lock in the meantime.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, boy, the Sun Belt. You just finished watching the 4 o'clock slate of games. It's just Georgia, Texas. Why don't you wash it down with Marshall and Louisiana? Chris was the Sun Belt expert, so he picked the Raging Cajuns, so I'll let you guys cheat off of that. Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, I actually took a different approach here from old Christian, but I do know he is the Sun Belt expert, so he might prove me wrong here. But Marshall coming off a 6-game winning streak, and I think they're hot right now. I also this past weekend, I really just thought they looked really good against JMU in that overtime win. So I'm gonna go with the Marshall Thundering Herd, baby. Let's go.
Somebody's seen a movie too many times.
I know. We Are
Oh.
Marshall, baby. It's a good movie.
Great, one of the greatest football movies of all time. Over there in Huntington, West Virginia, huh? Well, I'm going to take a little different approach from you here. Louisiana's minus 5.5-point favorites. I wrote one thing and one thing only. I'm going to read it. Marshall lost to the Hokies. Give me the Raging Cajuns.
Virginia
That's
Tech's
good enough
better
for
than
me.
their record.
That's good enough for me. Go
I'm
Cajuns.
targeting. I'm targeting our team at the same time. Brent, let's go back down here. Talk to me about the Big Ten.
Yeah, quite possibly the best game of the weekend. Definitely contends with that Texas-Georgia matchup. We've got number 3 Penn State versus number 1 Oregon to take on for the Big Ten championship. It's Saturday, December 7th at 8 p.m. Oregon is favored in this one, rightfully so. The spread is 3.5, and the over-under is 49.5. And I just got to say, I want to give Dylan Gabriel his flowers. The man is a Heisman finalist, looks really freaking good right now. And I'd say if he wasn't an older prospect and had maybe a little bit more of an arm, I think he could succeed at the next level. I'm definitely willing to go there rather than the Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck route at this point. So I'm really impressed with Dylan Gabriel. I think he's put up great numbers this year, and I got to go with Oregon in this one.
Brent, first of all, I'm going to go ahead and agree with you. I think that what they have been building up in Oregon has been incredible. I mean, first of all, a 12-0 season in the Big Ten after adding some great competition, as in Oregon themselves, has been very, very impressive. Obviously, that win versus Ohio State's the biggest bolster on that resume for them. Oregon minus 3.5. We all know who James Franklin is. We all know that Penn State doesn't belong in this football game. The Buckeyes should have been here. It would have been more competitive. I'm not telling you to do this, but Oregon minus 3.5 is minus 108 right. Excuse me, 108 right now. But Oregon minus 9.5 is plus 178. I have the Ducks by double digits. I think they're going to blow past this James Franklin football team, and Drew Aller is not him.
I could easily see it.
Well, yeah, I completely agree with you guys. They're the last remaining undefeated team in the FBS, and it's going to stay that way. They're going to beat James Franklin and Penn State. James Franklin in these big games, it just doesn't work out well. So that's going to continue. Oregon's going to stay undefeated.
The sweep! The Oregon and Boise States are the only clean sweeps? Or is it?
We'll find out.
We're going to end here. I don't think they did this on purpose with this being the last game of the night. I don't know if the ACC did this on purpose, but this game means everything to a lot of different fans. We'll explain it here in the process, but we're just talking about the two on the screen right now. The SMU's got the money line at minus 135. They're 2.5-point favorites. The over-under set at 57. All eyes will be on the Mustangs and the Tigers. According to Syracuse, congrats, Dabo, I got you in. After losing to South Carolina, we'll talk about the Gamecocks here in a little bit. But, I mean, it's easy enough for me. I've seen a lot. I think that Clemson is a dark horse team for sure. Definitely somebody to watch. Dabo has much more experience in this realm than the SMU Mustangs do. But as I sang as a second grader at Middletown Elementary, go Mustangs, go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, those Mustangs, they went 8-0 in ACC play in their first year in the conference. That's awesome. They did avoid Miami, Clemson, and Syracuse, though. But they did great. They did great in their first year. Their only loss was to good BYU team. Clemson lost 3 games this year. They got spanked by Georgia in week 1, lost by 12 against Louisville, and held it close, as Joe mentioned, against 15 South Carolina in a 3-point loss. All things point to SMU, but this comes down to one thing. The Tigers are hungry. Last year was one of 2 years since 2015 in which Clemson did not win the ACC championship game, and they didn't even make it to the title game. Dabo and his team have heard the public. People are questioning whether or not Clemson still owns the ACC. The Tigers are going to play out of their heads in order to beat the newcomers to prove that they still are. Go Clemson.
Christian Naylor with the Mustangs, and he was oh my goodness, what is it? What was Bass Hoover?
The
Bees?
The bees, right?
The bumblebees?
They were some sort of bee.
They were some sort of bee. That's
Yes.
bad. We don't know our elementary school rival.
Yeah, it's so important.
Brent, do we have a 3-1 or are we getting Splitsville here?
Well, boys, I'm rooting for chaos, and I think Clemson winning gives us one of the more chaotic scenarios in how the college football playoff shakes out. Does SMU still get in, being a 2-loss team and ranked 8th in the nation? Or does a team like Alabama, Miami, or South Carolina push them out? The only way we find out is if Clemson wins this game, and that's what I'm going with.
Chaos with a K.
Yes, sir.
Indeed.
Oh my goodness. What an absolute ball game this is going to be. Well, Braden, go ahead and walk me through here. We have 99 percentile in. You saw the college football show last night. Give me a little breakdown here between these 7 teams that are a lock.
Yeah, these guys are basically locks. Both the Big Ten championship contenders, both the SEC championship contenders. We got Tennessee locked as well. Indiana, which is interesting. We'll talk about that. And Notre Dame. Notre Dame lost to NIU early in the season, but they've looked good since. Indiana took their first loss recently against Ohio State, and it was a spanking. Indiana has been a great story this year. They haven't played too many great teams, though. But can you lock out a team that's 11-1? I don't think so.
I don't know. Brent, tell me about a team that's at the 98 percentile.
Little news flash for you guys. My personal opinion, but I think this team already lost their Super Bowl this year. Losing to Michigan, that puts a horrendous taste in the mouths of Ohio State fans. This is what, the 3rd or 4th year in a row?
4.
It's the 4th year in a row. Ryan Day is on the hot seat. Could you imagine this team winning the title and Ryan Day still losing his job? Because I think that is a possibility. If they win the title, there will always be that tiny little asterisk lost to Michigan, who you had no excuse in losing to, may I just add. It's embarrassing, very embarrassing. And I would hate to be an Ohio State fan because you've heard the worst of it from those Michigan fans for a while.
It's true. Lost to a walk-on quarterback.
Yep.
Can you imagine this? Here, we'll go back here for a second. Can you imagine beating Ohio State to go to 7-5, go into a bowl game? You did it. Everybody in the locker room is hyped. Next morning, the offensive coordinator gets a phone call. You're done.
It's crazy.
So
man.
it's a party up in Ann Arbor for everybody besides him. So That was kind of rough. The ACC champion, here's where we're going to chat for a little bit between 1 or 2 teams. We're not talking about Alabama. We're not talking about South Carolina. We're not talking about Ole Miss. We're not talking about Miami right now. We're just talking about these 2 teams in a resume together. What occurs if Clemson wins the ACC? If Clemson wins the game tomorrow, and here's scenario 1. Scenario 1, Clemson is in and SMU is in. Does anybody have any problem with that?
I personally don't.
No. Here's where number 2 comes into play. Clemson wins, SMU gets kicked out of the college football playoff. What is your reaction?
I'd be kind of pissed, but it would also depend on the team that gets in. That's my personal opinion. I think there is – we'll highlight it later, but I think there is one team that I would like to see over SMU if they lose this game. There's one, and that's it.
My reaction is this. I don't think they'll do it. I think that SMU will stay in. But could you imagine a team that went undefeated? Well, actually, you can't imagine a team that went undefeated in ACC play, lost with the conference. They won their conference championship, still got kicked out. But that's a whole other scenario for another day. It could create the problem of in the future teams like SMU going, we're going to decline the ACC championship invitation.
True.
So that's something to think about as well. We'll kick it over here. It's Iowa State or Arizona State. There's not much to talk about. Winning, you're in. Losing, you're gone. Braden and Brent. Braden, if you want to start with whichever two teams. Give me sort of the process here. Obviously, Boise State's winning in, but talk to me about these remaining three teams and their chances.
Yeah, I think the only team that I would consider to be mostly out here is Tulane. I think even if they beat Army, the winner of the Mountain West is going to get in. But I could gladly see Army and Boise State are the two favorites, obviously. UNLV is a great team as well. I think any of these teams gets bounced in the first round, unfortunately. But it's good. I personally enjoy seeing the group of five being represented in this playoff. I think that's important for the sport. So I think it'll be, even if they get blown out, I think it's important stepping stone for the future.
Yeah, there is a small chance UNLV or Army could make it. I just looked it up. UNLV has a 34% chance to make it, and Army has a 37% chance. Personally, I think Army making it would be pretty cool. Like you said, Braden, I don't think they stand much of a chance in any team they play. But to have an armed forces in the college football playoff would be something else. And I mean, I know it hasn't happened recently, but I don't even know if that's happened ever. So I think that would be really cool.
My one thing is this. What if Army gets in and then they do the selection show and then next week they play Navy and lose? Because the Army-Navy game is, for some reason, after conference championship weekend.
That would be something. They might have to go back on that one. If that were to happen, they might have to go back.
They have it like Army contingent on win versus Navy if loss UNLV.
I like that logic. I like it.
That would be wild. Oh, brother. All right, let's sit this down. There's three of us. Brent, you said you feel specific about a team. Would you like to pick that and kind of go through it?
So here's the thing, boys. My team, not on the screen. It's Ole Miss. It's Ole Miss. I really, really like Ole Miss. If they didn't lose to Kentucky early on in the season, I think they would be easily in it. But the fact that they did lose to Kentucky is huge. Beat Georgia, I think by 18, if I remember that correctly. So obviously Georgia's solidly in the playoff. Why can't Ole Miss? They have the same amount of losses as Alabama, same amount of losses as South Carolina. Miami's played absolutely no one and has lost to two bad teams. It's should have lost three. But we can talk about that another time. We've already talked about that enough, being Hokie fans. But I like Ole Miss. I really do. Just a believer in Jackson Dart. I really like them.
They're up there. What are you talking about?
I like it.
I'll take the floor here with Miami for a second because I think it was the athletic director and Cam Ward has gone publicly to bash the college football playoff committee. I have two words for them: beat Syracuse. It's that simple. You have no ranked wins. Your schedule was terrible. Your best wins are Missouri, who's out of the rankings, LSU, who's not that great. Sorry, scratch that. I was reading Alabama. They lost at Georgia Tech and they lost at Syracuse. The Miami Hurricanes should be 8-4 because the refs bailed them out against Virginia Tech and California. And that's bad about the refs when ESPN people themselves are talking about how Miami got bailed out. Miami was, if they think they have any consideration over a 3-loss SEC team, is laughable. It's a joke. Cam Ward's a great ball player, but dude, just beat Syracuse and then you'll have your chance in the ACC ship. You couldn't do that. You couldn't beat Georgia Tech. It's time to go play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl and have fun.
If they beat Syracuse, I think no matter what championship weekend, I think they still make it. But
I agree.
The fact that they lost to Syracuse is just a nail in the coffin. I don't think they deserve to be there. Lost to Georgia Tech. Like you said, should have lost to 2 other games. It's just, no, they don't deserve a spot.
No, I 100% agree. It's as simple as if you would have won last week, Alabama would not be in this conversation. The championships would have changed rankings of the 12 teams already in there. That's it. That's all it would have done.
Now I'll touch on the last 2 teams on the graphic. South Carolina and Ole Miss both have terrible taste in their mouths, seeing Alabama ranked above them. Yes, Alabama did beat South Carolina head-to-head. Alabama has 2 6-6 losses in Vanderbilt and Oklahoma. Why are they here? Why are they here?
And they're going to make it.
Yeah. They beat the crap out of LSU. Missouri's not that great. They beat Georgia, which is huge, but 6-6 losses, 2 of them, that's terrible. They're there because of the logo, just because they're Alabama. That's the only reason they're there.
It's called the eye test. I completely agree and disagree. My one thing about South Carolina is, yes, they were 3-3. Yes, they've raked off 6 straight wins in OU, A&M, Vandy, Mizzou, Wofford, and Clemson. Some great W's in there. The OU game that South Carolina fans are bragging about, where they beat us 9-35 when we were missing 5 wide receivers. Our quarterback had 3 turnovers and 3 possessions, and then he got a bench, and then we started our starter. If you're putting that on your resume, I'm sorry. It's laughable. It's the worst performance I've seen out of an offense in my 23 years of life. But it comes down to this. This is the one place I disagree, and this is the one reason that Alabama should be in over South Carolina is Alabama did beat South Carolina, and head-to-head needs to mean something at some point.
Yeah, you're right. That's why sorry to cut you off, Joe. I wish Ole Miss and Alabama played in the regular season because that would decide a lot of things, in my opinion. But go ahead.
If these are both 9-3 teams and South Carolina didn't play Bama this season, South Carolina would be a dynamite, absolutely getting ranked ahead of Bama. But I know it's by 2 points. I know it was by a 2-point conversion. I know Lenore Sellers is popping off the last 6 weeks. You just can't shake the fact that they lost. It makes you look bad.
Yeah.
So with that being said, let's put 2 group of 5 teams in.
I'm in. Let's put all group of 5 teams in.
I'm in. Anyways, this is the rankings that decided the fate of the college football playoff. As soon as you saw Bama up there instead of Miami and Ole Miss, you knew one thing. The Alabama Crimson Tide are big SMU Mustang fans this week. Based off of our projections, this is what we have for our college football playoff. Looks a little bit different than what we had at the start of the year, but I will mention we have 8 teams of the 12 in there. Last I checked, a 67% was not an F.
Sure. I'll take it.
Let's go through these matchups a little bit, and then I have 2 sort of hot take questions for you guys, and then we'll get everybody going here on their Wednesday night. Number 1 is this. First of all, we're going to go through and pick these teams first and foremost that I have to say is whoever is the 5 seed is so blessed.
Yes.
So are we all in agreement Penn State's winning this football game?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Are we in agreement that Georgia or Tennessee is going to win?
I think Tennessee could contend. And honestly, I would pick Tennessee myself. I really like their quarterback, Nico. I think he's just been huge for them this year. And that's where I would go.
I think I'm leaning Tennessee as well.
Well, for what it was worth, I was picking the dogs. So there you go. So we have Alabama. We have Alabama, Notre Dame, Alabama with a quite great draw. I'm going to say roll tide.
Yeah, I think. I mean, if it's going to be an SEC team likely as the 11th seed. I think any of those SEC teams might actually be favored in that matchup against Notre Dame. So, I mean, we just basically shit talked Alabama, but I'm picking them over Notre Dame. I mean, that's easy for me.
Agreed.
No business being in here. Another team that also I believe has no business being in here is Indiana. But what a squad by Kurt Cignetti. I will say that much. But I think we'll see more of the same in Ohio State winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I said earlier, I think it's hard for a team to beat another great team twice. The problem is I don't think Indiana's a great team. I do like what Kurt Cignetti has done, as you said, Joe, but just not on the same playing field as Ohio State. But who knows? No. They could surprise. They could surprise like the Michigan game.
Oh.
There's no way you can play that bad again. Are we all in agreement that Ryan Day's job is done if he doesn't win the Natty?
Yes.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Yeah. Sure.
Like I said, people have speculated like even if they do win the Natty, he could still be fired, which would be nuts, but it's unacceptable.
All right, let's keep it going here. Maybe we'll have a little New Year's Eve pizzazz again. Hopefully at the Wilkins house. We got Boise State and Penn State. Guys, I'm taking Boise State in this one.
I think this game would definitely be close. I love Jainty. He's great. He obviously proved that he can still play great against good teams as he did with Oregon in week 2. I don't know if I can pick Boise State here though. I think I'm leaning Penn State.
I'm gonna have to agree. I don't think I can do it. I would love to. I just don't think it happens. I think James Franklin gets a wonderful draw if this is how it shakes out.
Well, it's possible it doesn't because after the Penn State could definitely fall in the ranking for sure. Depending on what they do from conference championships is the big thing because Penn State can shuffle with a loss, Georgia can shuffle with a loss. That's probably about it. I mean, SMU, Oregon, Texas could obviously lose their bye, but other than that, not too much there. Braden, Tennessee or Oregon?
I'm going to go Oregon.
I'm going to go Oregon as well. But like I said, I think Tennessee is sneaky. I could see them pulling out that win, but I got to lean Oregon. It's the best team in college football right now.
I would agree with you. Bama and SMU, I have a bad taste in my mouth when I say I'm picking the Crimson Tide.
I agree.
Yeah.
See, this is the problem with this is we just talked crap about Bama, USC, Miami. Well, I don't Miami wouldn't win this game, but
no.
USC, Bama, I think they would have a solid shot. So Bama as well.
Miami had a chance to prove they could win this game, but they lost to Syracuse. So,
Yep.
And then Ohio State and Texas. I don't know if it's my bias in both ways, but I feel like the Buckeyes would find a way to win this one.
I got to go Texas. I just, man, That loss last week just completely flipped the script for me on Ohio State. They can beat Indiana. I mean, they already proved that this year. But I don't know if they can beat Texas. I'll be honest.
I think obviously we've talked about it. Ryan Day's job is on the line here, and it might be better for Ohio State in the long term if he just loses and get fired. So go Longhorns.
Whoa. You can't say that on this podcast.
My fault.
It's just not right. Well, let me advance these teams real quick for us boys. With that fast editing skills that we do over here. It's going to be a crazy weekend.
It is. It's going to be beautiful.
Oh, boy, look what we've done. Oh, no, look what we've done. All right, so a team that might not even make it is in the semifinals. And we have a Big Ten championship rematch. So we clean swept with Oregon the first time. Is it going to happen again?
Yeah, my opinion.
I'm going to agree. And guys, I hate to be the one saying this, but I'm going to pick Alabama.
God, that one's close for me. Braden, you take it.
I'm going to go Texas here just to make it interesting.
I got to go Texas as well. I think Quinn Ewers, like I said, is trash. I feel like Arch should be the quarterback at this point, but obviously you can't make that switch now.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the team around him is good enough where they can get there. So I'm going to pick Texas.
Is this what we had at the beginning of the season as well, or was it Oregon, Georgia?
I think it was Oregon, Georgia. We can check.
Like that. I know we picked Georgia to win.
Okay.
Wow.
Sorry, my fast editing.
Disrespect.
My editing skills were bad. Can you tell who I'm picking? Dylan Gabriel did it last year. He can do it again, baby. Give me the Ducks to win the Natty.
Yeah, I'm picking Oregon as well. Like I said, they're the best team in college football. I really just think it's going to happen.
Yeah. I know it doesn't matter, but I'm going to agree.
Let's look at our prized possession here. Wow.
Beautiful.
Screenshot for when it's all wrong.
All right.
Well, for just because we're going to go back over here, this is what the College Football Committee decided yesterday. Obviously, a lot can change. Not much, honestly, change in our bracket besides Georgia and Ohio State flipping spots. I feel like that's something the committee wants to avoid is those first-round Big Ten SEC games. The question is, are they going to be able to? The question is, where does SMU go if they lose? How far does Texas drop? How far does Penn State drop? How far does Georgia drop if they lose? If Oregon loses, obviously probably dropping to 5. Does Boise State move up in some sort of scenario to 3? It's a headache for sure. Conference championship weekend will file that out for us. But boys, I'm going to take this off the graphic here real quick with the 2 hottest questions in sports. As you can see all our beautiful faces in full here again. Number 1 is, next year, should teams be reseeded after round 1? NFL style.
I'll go ahead and say I really like the way that the NFL playoff system works with the reseeding. It feels right in the NFL, but with this 12-team playoff, I think there's too much of an advantage. Say like a group of 5 team were to win as the 12th seed, and then the team that got a bye essentially just gets a free win the next week. So yeah. I think it works in college pretty well, not reseeding. So that's where I'm at on that.
Yeah, I think it takes a little bit more of the chaos factor out of it if you do reseed. It's a lot more predictable that way. So I definitely want to see how this current season plays out before I make up my mind on that.
So I'll bring this back up here here real quick because the number one thing about them talking about reseeding is Boise State here at the 4. You're getting either Penn State or Arizona State. Oregon, team that's 12, almost 13-0 if they win this weekend, has to play either Tennessee or Ohio State. I would not want that draw as the best team in the country after not playing for almost a month. I don't know what it would look like to reseed them personally, but I think that would not be fun at all.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
And then obviously on the bottom of the bracket, if we see Notre Dame and Indiana play in the first round, that would be the best first-round matchup we could possibly have.
Well, and assume, because we mentioned it was possible, Arizona State beating Penn State, then Oregon essentially, you would figure, gets a free draw into the semis if it's seeded that way. 1 plays to 12.
Which don't they kind of deserve at the same time from going 12-0?
That's fair.
Instead, they get to – go ahead.
I was going to say it's almost 2 free buys, which you did go 12-0, so that's kind of fair. And you do have to play the football game, but still, it's
true. And
it's weird that – sorry, go ahead.
It's weird that 12 seed, this may be the only year, depending if the Big 12 gets their head back on a swivel, where that 12 seed is not a group of 5 teams. So in the future, let's say Colorado – turns it on, or Utah did what they were supposed to do and they sat at the 4 seed and Boise State sat at the 12, then it would make sense personally. This year, because of a group of 5 team like Boise State, it may not make as much sense. You can't just take this small sample size of this year where it's weird and it's new and make that decision.
That's fair.
And then number 2, the fun one. I'm going to take the graphic off so you can't see teams or records. Who would be the 4 teams in the original college football playoff?
Oregon. Probably Texas. Gosh, it's helpful with the records up there. God, who's third on that?
I'll help you.
Oh. Yeah,
you got a lot of 10-2 teams up there.
SMU probably, if they won this week, would probably be a 4 seed, I would guess, and then Georgia, I think. That'd be my guess.
I would agree with that. Oregon, Texas, Georgia, SMU.
So does Texas completely fall out if they lose the championship? Because they're sitting at 2, and I'd assume that Notre Dame and Penn State would be breathing down their neck. Because right now Notre Dame's at the 4. So if you have it the way it is, it's Oregon, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame. Like, let's say they keep it that way. Penn State loses, they're kicked out. Texas loses, they're kicked out. Then you have Oregon, Notre Dame, Georgia, Ohio State. I don't think Ohio.
It's hard to put. Looking at it from the lens of last year, it's hard to put Notre Dame in with the resume that they have.
Northern Illinois.
Yeah. I think there may be a little bit of difference in the way they seed things this year. I think last year they're not in the conversation. They're like a 6 or a 7 seed, I would assume.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think Penn State has a strong case, but that's the way I think it would go. Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and what was that other one? SMU.
I think if Georgia loses, they're susceptible to being taken out by an Ohio State because you're assuming Penn State loses as well. But yeah, I like that.
I think that it's hysterical how last year conference championships meant everything, and this year every fan wants them to mean nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is crazy how it quite literally flipped that quickly.
Hey,
well, boys,
I'm excited.
Go ahead. I'm pumped.
I'm excited.
We're definitely going to be back here shortly to pick the actual 2024-25 college football playoff when it comes out on Selection Sunday, and you guys already know it. Bowl games, baby. We're going bowling. I'll see you guys in the what's the worst bowl you can play in?
Pop-Tart. No,
That's
that's
the
the
best.
best bowl.
That's the best one. The Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl or whatever it
There
is.
you go. There you go.
I saw the ones we were projected to be in was the Fenway Bowl in Boston. So
Yeah.
Mm.
I've
Against
seen that one a lot.
wasn't the matchup like Tulane?
Yeah.
I saw
that.
I saw Tulane. I saw Memphis a lot.
Okay.
Although didn't Memphis just get West Virginia? I don't know. I don't remember. But anyways,
we'll find out.
We'll find out here next week. Selection Sunday coming up. Conference championships on Friday and Saturday. Tune into the absolute chaos that it will be for those Group of 5 teams. The Alabama Crimson Tide likely in with a win by SMU. We'll tune in here next time. Thanks for hanging out with us here on this Wednesday night, where we'll pick the college football playoff and we'll tell you exactly why Josh Allen's winning MVP. We'll see you guys next time.